Welcome into Giants Training Camp Central, presented by Ford here on MSG Networks. My name is Madeline Burke out here at Quest Diagnostics Training Center, where the Giants had their first full padded practice of training camp earlier this week. Before the practice, head coach Brian Daboll addressed the media. Here's what he had to say.
Obviously, it changes over time, but how do you handle the expectations of the first padded practice and the sense of protecting the players from themselves?
Yeah, I think we got to practice well with one another, stay off the ground, but get our fundamental work in. You know, there's usually some excitement from the players, but you have to do a good job of making sure you don't lose your technique, fundamentals. The energy is always good, usually the first day of pads, but you got to make sure we're doing things the right way.
Are you an everything starts up front guy in terms of?
Yeah. You know, you have to be strong up front on both sides. You know, and this is really the first true evaluation of the players, knowing what to do and being able to do it without the pads on. But now, you know, seeing the physical part of it is important, and look forward to practice today.
What's your view on fights? I think some coaches are like zero tolerance. Other coaches don't hate to see it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't want to fight in practice. To me, it's undisciplined, 15-yard penalties. I understand it's a competitive situation, but you can't do it in the games. So being able to maintain your composure and be disciplined, I think, is important. Now, that being said, I don't know if I've ever been at a camp where there wasn't one, but certainly something that we don't want to do.
Coach, I know we weren't talking about last year, but how do you continue that mentality of winning close games in training camp? How does that work?
Well, we're just getting ready to go today, so it's, you know, we got a long way to go here before we play some games. You know, in the regular season, I think that's developed over time. The chemistry within a group, being able to execute under pressure when it counts the most, usually in the fourth quarter. So those are things you constantly work on.
Has your personal philosophy changed on how you practice with pads over the course of your coaching career?
No, I mean, we got to do a good job of taking care of one another, while also being to evaluate the players, and the players got to have mutual respect for one another. I mean, it's not like you want to have offensive linemen go out there and clean the pocket when a guy's rushing or somebody jumps and you put them on the ground, or you're tackling ball carriers when they're not expecting to be tackled. Stay away from the quarterback, but work on your fundamentals the right way, your techniques, and obviously it's always going to be more physical, particularly in between the lines.
Obviously, we saw Trey Hawkins working with the first team yesterday. Why? What do you want to see from him?
Well, I think he's earned, he had a couple good days, so gave him an opportunity. We'll try to do that with all the positions, and every day is an evaluation. So if we think you've earned an opportunity to do it, that's what we did. It's his birthday today, by the way.
Adoree bumped in for a couple of those times into the slides. Could you see that being the case during the season?
We'll see. That's why we're using all these combinations. So it'll be different. It's been different, throughout camp. We'll just keep rotating them.
But I just mean, I think people who both careers played outside. Are you saying that's at least a possibility?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's the first day we did it was yesterday. So we got to keep practicing different combinations.
Besides winning those one-on-one battles, what might you be looking for in the defensive and offensive lines?
Well, they each have different jobs, so protecting the quarterback inside out and keeping the depth and the width from the interior, get movement in the running game, and then controlling the line of scrimmage, getting off blockers in the run game, and affecting the quarterback. Again, you can only affect the quarterback so much because you want the guys to stay away from the quarterback in these type of practices, whether you hit a thumb or get too close. But you got a good feel when you watch the tape of guys that are executing their assignments and responsibilities.
What's it like having Sterling out there for the group because he's a leader, just to have him now?
Provides a lot of energy. He's a very good teammate. Obviously, he's bounced back from a few injuries, and I think all the guys are appreciative for him, what he does for the team.
Speaking of young, talented players, how excited are you for Kayvon from the first year now going into a second camp?
Yeah, a lot of those, whether it's Kayvon or Neal or some of the other guys, Belton, I know he was injured, Beavers. I mean, that's always, you hope you make a good jump from year one to year two. not just production-wise, but again, I've talked about this before. You come out in the draft, and it's not a typical off season for a player. So he's had a whole off season to work, improve, physically, mentally. So excited for him.
Right. Evan, going back to the defensive line, I've heard from a few guys about stopping the run being a priority. Do you agree that that's, a point of emphasis for you guys? And with that, like, how do you really go about sort of doing that in practice when you're obviously trying to avoid injury?
We worked on that since spring. I can't do it as much physically, but run fit drills, run blitzes, technique. It really takes everybody to stop the run and chasing the football. That's something we've worked on last year, something we need to improve, something we'll work on this year.
For those young guys in their second year, I know Evan Neal talked about the weight and the work he put in. How much have you seen any difference from him on the field?
Yeah, again, the first 5 without pads on, I think he's done a good job. He's he's second year in the system. I think things slow down a little bit for him. It'll be a good few weeks here with the pads on.
You see him moving better though, or like?
Yeah, he's done a nice job.
Getting off quicker at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, no, he's done a nice job. We'll see how it all translates here with the pads, but he's had a good 5 days of practice.
Now, the Giants loaded up on offensive weapons in the offseason. After the break, we'll hear from some of the playmakers. Stay with us. Welcome back to Giants Training Camp Central, presented by Ford right here on MSG Networks. Daniel Jones has some new weapons to throw to, including Darren Waller, Isaiah Hodgins returning, and of course, the veteran Sterling Shepard making his way back on the field. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, how's it feel to be back?
Feels great, man, just to be back out there with the guys and actually going against somebody. I mean, I've been sitting over there for months running routes by myself and just trying to visualize somebody there. So to actually have somebody there, it honestly was 10 times better. I wasn't even thinking about, my planting or anything like that. Like I felt great. So it was good to be back out there with the guys.
You've been through this so many times with different injuries and whatnot. Do you have to do anything different, or are you just go about it the way you always go about it and hope this isn't an injury here?
Nah, I mean, I'm gonna go about it a little different. I gotta be smarter myself in what I allow myself to do, and not really push back, because I'm one of those guys that likes to just keep going and going and going. And I know that I got to take my time this time and do things a bit different than I have in the past, and just be patient. I think that's my main thing, because I get antsy a lot of times. I want to get in there 3 reps in a row. I may have to take a rep off. That's just the way it's got to go. And I just think I gotta hold myself back sometimes.
You obviously were around all last year for the playoff run, and this is the time of year where everybody's up. All 32 teams think they can make the playoffs. Yeah. Any different this year because there's belief, but because we actually did it behind it? Like last year, does it feel more optimistic? Anything about what you guys can do this year?
No, I mean, you got to leave last year's last year. You can't bring it over into this season. Everybody has a new team. You just you got to start from zero.
You've played with guys who are considered freaks before. Where does Waller compare?
That boy, that boy's something special. I was telling people today, I'm like, I don't even like for people to be on Wall's back. Like, they got a tight coverage, they want to make a breakup, but don't jump on my man's back. That boy's a monster. You see him go up and get that ball the other day? I was telling DJ, I was like, man, look, that thing would have been sailing over my head. That boy Wall came out of nowhere. Wow. Yeah, he looked good though. He's great. He's a freak.
For you personally, what's the mindset? You're not guaranteed anything this year, right? So you don't have that. Like, even when you came in as a rookie, it was a little different. You were a second-round pick. You were obviously given a spot. You knew you were going to be there. Yeah. How do you approach that? What do you make of that?
I told you, I'm just the type of guy. Like, I don't worry about other stuff. I don't worry about how it's going to shake out. Like, I don't worry about it. I just worry about where my feet are right now. What can I do to get better? What can I do? Whatever the training staff has me do, how can I get better? If they're going to have me sit out today, like, that's what situation I'm in right there. I'm going to listen to them. But when I'm on the field, like, that is my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to get open, catch the ball. That's what I'm focused on. So whatever decision or however it shakes out, that's just the way it shakes out. like, I ain't nothing I can do about it but do what I do. So that's the way I approach it every day.
What's your relationship like thus far with Daniel, and how far can you guys take it?
It's a relationship that's gelling. We've got a few months under our belt of staying in touch and just open dialogue, ego removed. We can tell each other what we're thinking, what he may want, things I've been comfortable doing and things I like doing, and find a midpoint or be able to just learn about each other. So I feel like it's paying off, and just trying to keep it going day by day and let the results take care of themselves.
What do you like about him as a quarterback?
I just like his even-keeled nature, first and foremost. He just has like a calm spirit about him. It's not too high or too low. It's staying in the middle. And you can tell by the way that he's navigated some of the adversity and the noise of his career that's something that he's focused on and is paying dividends for him now.
Some of your teammates have, I don't know if they've started a fan club for you yet, but they, some of their comments about you have been, quite over the top in some ways. Xavier McKinney saying you're basically unguardable. I think Paris Campbell was saying the other day that, you're like a freak of nature. Have you heard that before from teammates? And what's your vibe you're getting from these guys here about all this love you're getting?
It's an honor for my teammates to speak of me in that way, because these are guys that do it at a high level and have done it for a really long time. And, I guess it's just like for my size and my weight and the way that I run and the multitude of routes that I try to be able to be comfortable running. A lot of guys don't necessarily do that, but it's just, coming in with a mindset of like, I don't want to be limited in any part of my game. Like whatever they want to line me up and run at, like I want to be able to do that and be effective at it, and not just be like, oh man, I'm not really that good at that, or I can't do that. I want to be able to do everything and just present myself as a viable option to the quarterback every time I run a route. Like that's really the goal. Keep it as simple as that. Like every single rep I go out there, like make myself presentable. Like if he wants to throw it there, he could throw it there and throw it to me. So that's just how I approach it.
You were comfortable with freak of nature? You like that?
I'll take it to her.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How do you feel camp's going for you?
I feel like it's been going well, taking it day by day and, continue to work on my craft. So it's been going good so far.
I wanted to ask about Daniel Jones. When you first arrived here, kind of going back to Buffalo, what was your perception of him before you came into New York?
Yeah, we definitely knew that he was a tall, strong quarterback. We used to always talk about him and, comparing to Josh Allen and stuff. So we definitely knew he had the physical traits and stuff. And coming here, I was able to see, the mental side and his preparation and work ethic and stuff. So, he's the full package. And, I think he's a great quarterback. So, I'll ride and die about him. So.
Do you think he gets enough respect outside of just you guys in the locker room?
Yeah, I feel like some people do, some don't. That's with a lot of guys in the NFL. But, I know one thing, he definitely doesn't worry about that. So, that's all credit to him. Whether he has a good game or bad game or people praise him or not, he keeps the same mindset of working every day. So, that's something that influences the whole locker room. So that's what you like to see out of your quarterback.
Speaking of the whiteout ring, you guys took a lot of criticism last year. When you look around that room this year, do you see a hell of a lot more talent?
Yeah, the coaches did a great job of, retaining a lot of talent and then adding a lot of new talent. We got players all over the place that you could plug in at any position, any route, and just put a lot of pressure on the defense. I'm definitely excited to see what our whiteout room could do.
How much different is it for you this year as opposed to coming in last year, mid-season, having this whole offseason? How do you feel differently?
Yeah, I feel very comfortable in the offense and the scheme, just being able just to take a different approach to my game and knowing that I'm not just kind of thrown in the fire like I was last year, so kind of get to work on some mental stuff for me, kind of like looking at coverages and disguise and stuff and, seeing stuff that I give away and stuff that I can work on my game. So, I'm trying to take that next step myself.
Explosiveness of this offense has been a big focus this offseason. How does that feel? Does it feel different in practice, or how does that feel different to you?
I feel like it definitely does. I feel like there's, at any given moment or play, we can be throwing a deep shot to anybody, from the ones to the twos to the threes to whoever's in there at any position, to a tight end or running back. Our offense is very creative and is a very explosive. I'm excited to see it in games.
And the offensive guys have the work cut out for them going against these defensive playmakers in practice. After the break, we'll hear from some of the players on defense. Welcome back to Giants Training Camp Central, presented by Ford right here on MSG Networks. This week we heard from Giants newly signed linebacker Bobby Okereke and defensive lineman Leonard Williams. But first, let's take a listen to Kayvon Thibodeau. Coming off an incredible rookie year, how does he look to improve in year 2?
Man, year 2, I mean, it's amazing. Feel great, I'm healthy, and I'm just excited, man. I'm excited.
How different does it feel? Like, does it feel different on the field? No, that you're not new and kind of just learning on the fly.
Fall camp, I guess you could say fall camp is college, but training camp is it definitely feels a little bit different. Now I'm working on different things, just really understanding the game and kind of getting those gears going.
We never really got to see much of you and Aziz. He was hurt so much that we never really got to see the full potential of you two together. Yeah. You envisioned, do you think about at all what it would be like for you two to play each other side by side for 17 games?
It's going to be exciting. For him on paper, how many sacks he had, how many plays he had. So just knowing that, if you can get him for 17 games, who knows how many sacks he'll get. So, but yeah, he's definitely one of the most talented pass rushers I've ever played with. So yeah, I'm excited to really get it going.
Well, I was looking at sacks for you guys, and obviously he probably didn't have as many as you would hope last year, but you talk about the good things that you did last year that maybe weren't stat-worthy, so to speak.
It's so funny when you talk about what you've done. And everybody, you ever hear Giannis Antetokounmpo's his speech, I think it was in the playoffs, and he talked about, the past and what you did in the future and what you're going to do. And, humility is in the moment. So for me, I didn't reach the goals that I wanted to reach last year, but we did well as a team. I gave myself a platform to continue to grow. And in off season, I put that work in, and now we're here continuously, sharpening iron. So I'm excited for, what's to come as far as the growth in my game.
Kayvon, when you look at this year's film, do you feel you left maybe some sacks on the field?
Definitely. I think, every time you look back at a play, you feel like you could have ate a little bit more. So, yeah, man, last year's film kind of disgusts me a little bit when I look at myself. I get a little cringe feeling, but it definitely is, like I say, a platform to continue to grow.
We were in here the other day with Andrew Thomas, and he said closing the gap on the Eagles starts with the lines, basically. The trenches. Offensive line feels it because the Eagles have been good on their offensive line for a decade. Does the defensive line feel that same? We get to close the gap. We have to do it because we have a core now, and they've had their Fletcher Cox, Brendan Graham core forever.
Yeah, when you talk about the older guys as far as Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, they've done it for a while now, and they're kind of reaching that level where they need guys to come with them. And luckily they have guys like me and Aziz who don't have egos, who's willing to soak up the game, who's willing to put in the work and the time. And now it's about just continually growing together, continuously just getting better and learning how to rush as a unit and learning how to move as a unit. So, yeah, I think we're all excited. I think that we got a big challenge ahead of us with the rest of camp and continuing to grow, but I think it's going to be good.
When you look at this team, do you say we're a playoff team, or you say that was last year, we got to do it all over again?
When I look at this team, I think I'm willing to fight in the alley with any of them. And I say that because these are guys who have no quit. These are guys who want to be better. And it's a thing to have talent and to be okay with. It's a thing to, make it to the NFL and cruise through. But when you have a bunch of guys who consistently make it their point and effort to get better and to grow, the sky's the limit.
With your goals, with your personal goals, are you somebody that keeps those to yourself, or are you comfortable stating what your goals are?
Man, and that's my thing. Last year I had so many goals and I had so many numbers and statistics on what I wanted to be. I just want to be great. I want to help my team win. I want to be a guy who can make plays and make the plays when they count. So I'm not really too fixated on numbers. I'm just fixated on really having an impact every game and being available every game.
I'm going to start with somebody else. Darren Beavers. You probably didn't know a lot about him coming into this year. He didn't play at all last year in preseason. What have you seen from him so far in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, he's a big, athletic guy that's very physical and can run. He's got smooth hips. He's a really good athlete.
In the joint linebacker position with the two inside guys, are those guys interchangeable or?
For the most part, sometimes we'll have the dive matched up more on the tight end, and Mike more on the running back, but I mean, a lot of times with the teams, how they, jet motion and try to put you in funky positions, you end up playing both. So you kind of got to be able to play both.
This position's been it was kind of inconsistent last year on this team. Do you kind of see yourself as the fix, to find consistency at middle linebacker on this team?
I mean, I just think I'm a good addition to the group. Obviously, just trying to push everybody, make it a very competitive group, competitive training camp, and hopefully we just can contribute to this team as best we can.
Are pads open season to hit somebody, or is it in moderation?
It's in moderation. I mean, obviously, we all come out here, we have egos, everyone wants to prove something, but it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We got to keep each other healthy, and we got to all make it through 17 games. So, yeah, you can win the battle in a practice, but you want to win the war. So you got to keep each other smart and safe, but you also want to compete. It's a fine balance.
Darren spoke about stopping the run kind of being an emphasis for you guys. Is that an emphasis for you guys?
100%.
How are you guys, trying to get better in that area?
Yeah, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of meeting time, spent on fits, just the mental part. And then when the pads come on tomorrow, just physicality.
Is that something you think is a strength of your game, stopping the run?
100%.
Stopping the run, winning a battle, or just staying in your position?
You would clarify that?
In a sense that you have a zone or an area?
Yeah, I mean, it takes 11 guys to do their own job at the same time. But also, once you fit your gap, go be a football player and tackle the ball. So it takes that, dogmatic mentality to go make tackles, but you also have to do your 1 of 11. Stay in your A gap, stay in your B gap, set the edge. It takes everybody.
Have you enjoyed this so far? I mean, it seemed like the Colts funnel tackles to you last year. I mean, is that what this team is doing too?
I mean, I just think this team is as competitive as can be. I mean, our offense, you're going against Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller, DJ. I mean, they're slating, guys are flying around. So it makes us better, it makes us competitive. And yeah, from a tackling standpoint, I mean, I'm just trying to tackle the ball every time to hand it off.
Hey, Leo, how are you? But can you envision a day where Thomas and Kayvon and Neal and Dex are like the new Graham and Cox and Johnson, and those guys can the Giants have that kind of 10-year core that the Eagles have?
I mean, that's a tough question. It's hard for me to try to compare teams that way. I don't want to say that they're going to be like the Eagles or anything like that. But, I definitely see some great players over here on both sides of the ball. Andrew Thomas leading the way on the offensive side, and, Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon on this side of the ball. And, I think a lot of those guys are, still just starting to touch their prime or haven't even got to their prime yet. And I think they're going to have a long, great career in this league.
I'm just kind of curious what kind of things you've been working on from last year to this year to become more of an impact player, and that's my first question on that.
I mean, coming off of the Z's question, I also missed a few games last year for the first time in my career, and that's something that I pride myself on most of my career is being healthy and being durable and being ready to go when called upon. And so this off season, I definitely focused a lot on my body, knowing that I am getting a little bit older and knowing that I have to, apply myself more in the training room and keep up with things on my body is going to be important going forward for me.
That's a wrap for our show today, but make sure to tune in to Giants Training Camp Central presented by Ford right here on MSG Networks every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. I'm Madeline Burke. Thanks for tuning in.